Hey there, science explorers! Are you ready for some fun? We're going to dive into the amazing world of science. Get ready to be amazed by cool experiments you can do at home. Put on your thinking caps, grab your safety goggles, just kidding, not all experiments need them, and let's get started. Science is like magic, but real. We're going to mix, build, and experiment. You'll be a scientist in no time. Remember, safety first. Always ask a grown-up for help before starting any experiment. Now let's explore the wonders of science together. Have you ever wondered why the sky is blue or how plants grow? That's science at work. Science helps us understand the world around us. It's in the food we eat, the air we breathe, and even in our bodies. Science is like solving a puzzle. Scientists ask questions and then conduct experiments to find the answers. And guess what? You can be a scientist too. All you need is curiosity and a little bit of imagination. Let's create a beautiful rainbow in a jar. This fun and educational experiment will not only dazzle your eyes with vibrant colors, but also teach you some fascinating science concepts. This experiment teaches us about density, a fundamental concept in physics and chemistry. Density is a measure of how much mass is contained in a given volume. In simpler terms, it tells us how tightly packed the molecules in a substance are. Density is how tightly packed together something is. For example, a rock is denser than a sponge because the rock's molecules are packed more closely together. This principle is what allows us to create the stunning layers in our rainbow jar. You'll need a few simple materials to get started. First, you'll need a tall glass or jar. The taller the jar, the more distinct your layers will be. A tall glass or jar. Next, you'll need honey. Honey is very dense, which makes it perfect for the bottom layer of our rainbow. You'll also need corn syrup, which is slightly less dense than honey. You'll also need dish soap, water, vegetable oil, and rubbing alcohol. Each of these liquids has a different density, which will help create the layered effect. Dish soap, water, rubbing alcohol. To make our rainbow, we'll use food coloring. You'll need a variety of colors to create the different layers. A dropper will help you add the food coloring to each liquid without making a mess. Food coloring. A dropper. Now, let's get started with the instructions. First, carefully pour honey into the jar, filling about an inch. The honey will form the base layer of our rainbow. Instructions. 1. Carefully pour honey into the jar, filling about an inch. Next, add a few drops of green food coloring to the corn syrup and gently pour it over the honey. The corn syrup will form the second layer. 1. Add a few drops of green food coloring to the corn syrup and gently pour it over the honey. Now, add a few drops of blue food coloring to the dish soap and layer it on top of the corn syrup. Be careful to pour slowly to avoid mixing the layers. 1. Add a few drops of blue food coloring to the dish soap and layer it on top of the corn syrup. Carefully pour water on top of the dish soap. Water is less dense than dish soap, so it will form the next layer. 1. Carefully pour water on top of the dish soap. Add a few drops of red food coloring to the vegetable oil and slowly pour it over the water. The oil will float on top of the water because it is less dense. 1. Add a few drops of red food coloring to the vegetable oil and slowly pour it over the water. Finally, add a few drops of purple food coloring to the rubbing alcohol and layer it on top. The rubbing alcohol is the least dense of all the liquids, so it will form the top layer. 1. Finally, add a few drops of purple food coloring to the rubbing alcohol and layer it on top. What happens? The liquids will separate into layers based on their densities. Each liquid will settle according to its density, creating a beautiful, colorful rainbow effect in the jar. The densest liquid, honey, will be at the bottom, and the least dense liquid, rubbing alcohol, will be at the top, creating a beautiful rainbow effect. This experiment is not only visually stunning, but also a great way to understand the concept of density in a fun and engaging manner. Enjoy your rainbow in a jar. Section 5. Dancing Raisins. Get ready for a fun and fizzy science experiment that will make you smile and learn at the same time. Let's get those raisins grooving. This simple yet fascinating experiment will show you the magic of science in action. This experiment teaches us about buoyancy and gas. It's a great way to understand how different materials interact with each other. You'll need a tall glass, preferably clear so you can see all the action happening inside. Clear soda like Sprite or 7-Up, and raisins. Make sure the soda is fresh and fizzy for the best results. Instructions. First, fill the glass with clear soda. Watch as the bubbles rise to the top, creating a sparkling effect. Then drop a few raisins into the glass. You can use as many as you like, but start with 3 or 4 to see the effect clearly. Observe the raisins as they dance up and down in the soda. What happens? Notice how the raisins initially sink to the bottom. The raisins are denser than the soda, which is why they sink to the bottom at first. So they sink to the bottom. But don't worry, the fun is just about to begin. However, the carbon dioxide bubbles in the soda attach to the raisins, forming little gas pockets around them, making them buoyant and causing them to float to the top. As the bubbles pop, the raisins lose their buoyancy. The raisins sink back down, only to be lifted again by new bubbles. This cycle repeats, creating a mesmerizing dance, creating a fun dancing effect. It's a delightful way to see science in action and understand the principles of buoyancy and gas. Try it out and share the joy of learning with your friends and family. Section 6. Keep exploring. Congratulations, science superstars! You've completed some amazing experiments and learned so much about the world around you. Remember, science is everywhere, and there's always something new to discover. Keep asking questions, keep experimenting, and never stop exploring the wonders of science. Who knows what incredible discoveries you'll make? Stay curious, my friends.